It's Monday, but it's also only 4 days until Thursday. And do you know what happened on Thursday? Get the pins out of my thingy. Yeah, count down the days. All right, this is an email from Jazz. Jazz says, I struggle a ridiculous amount with exercise and lower level movement. I can't sit, walk to town frequently, and end up going up and down the stairs for the tiniest of things. My family know this and have confronted me about it, but to just stop the compulsions and habit, it brings up so many overwhelming emotions and a huge tendency to restrict my food. You make it seem like you didn't have these emotions and restriction issues when you were recovering, but please help. How do I manage these emotions of self-hate and shame and cabin fever when tackling the exercise and restriction behaviours? Right, well, Jazz, it's not that I didn't have those emotions, I just I learned how to deal with them, I guess, manage them, or whatever you want to say. So we can, if you sort of buy the migration theory of anorexia, then it can be like, oh, so my body thinks I need to migrate, therefore my body thinks I need to move a lot, otherwise I'm going to die, and I'm not migrating. So if I don't move a lot, my body tries to motivate me to move again. And the way that our bodies motivate us to do anything, actually, is by using emotion. That's what emotion is for. It actually motivates us to act in a certain way. And so when your body's like, hello, you've got to migrate, dumbass, then your body's going to use emotion to motivate you to keep moving when you're not moving or standing or doing the compulsions, habits and stuff like that. So if we know that, if we can say, oh, look, this is just this thing that my brain's doing. It's not like your brain is actually judging you. It's not like your brain is actually judging you that you should feel bad because you're sitting down. Your brain is just doing what it can do to motivate you to move as it thinks that you need to move. And so your brain's just, if you can think of it, your brain's just using the emotion to try and get you to do something. And if you don't respond or react to that emotion, your brain will kind of be like, oh, well, maybe we don't need to migrate then after a while. It takes a while though. So you have to understand what the fear and the guilt and the shame and all of those things, like why it's there. There goes my brain again. It's just trying to motivate me to move. I found that when I was able to understand that emotion would come and kind of why it was there, I was then able to ignore it and not go into the emotion. So what I would say to people is your brain has been taught by you that the appropriate emotional reaction to you not compulsively moving is to elicit the emotions of guilt, fear, shame, disgust, all that. The reason it's been taught that by you is because your brain has suggested that emotion over the years, every time that you've rested or not done a compulsion, and you have responded by going, oh shit, yeah, you're right, I should feel guilty, I should get up. If your brain suggested that emotion, you responded by going like, no brain, that's not right actually, and didn't get up and didn't move and didn't do the compulsion, then your brain would ultimately learn that that emotion was not appropriate. But because you've actually taught your brain that that's the appropriate reaction, that's the appropriate emotion. So your brain's just doing its job. And it's like, if you think about like a computer formula, it's like your brain's going, situation X is I'm sitting down. The correct response, emotional response to situation X, should it happen, is to give the emotions of guilt and fear. It's like X equals Y, where Y is the emotions of guilt and fear. So when you just do X, when you sit down, your brain's like, oh, I know the answer here, guilt and fear, that's what we do. And your brain's just doing its job. Your brain is just doing what you've taught it because you've responded to that emotion. You reacted to it every time. So the way to rewire that, the way to teach your brain that that emotion is not actually valid, we don't want that one actually, brain, thank you very much, but no thanks, is by not responding to it. Now, so that's where you just, that's why I'm saying you go cold turkey. It's that it's not responding. It's not getting up and walking and doing your compulsion, regardless of how severe your brain goes, no, really, you should really feel guilty, I mean it. You're just like, all right, brain, chill. And your brain will eventually get the message. But what you have to do is you have to learn how to allow that emotion to be there, because that emotion's not going anywhere right now. Your brain is going to bring up that emotion if you challenge your compulsions. It's going to. You've taught it that that's the correct thing to do. It's just doing its job by bringing up that emotion. So you have to learn to, first of all, anticipate. Oh, if I sit on the sofa and watch a film, my brain is going to generate that emotion of guilt to try and make me move. So you can anticipate, you can plan ahead, and you can go, I know this is going to happen and I'm not going to respond to it. And what you have to do is you have to work out how to allow your brain will generate the emotion of guilt. We know that's going to happen if you sit there. You have to work out how to allow that emotion to just sit there right next to you and not go into it, not respond to it, not interact with it. Because we can't stop your brain generating that emotion right now. It's going to do it because you taught it to do it. It's doing its job. So just let it go ahead and generate that guilt emotion and just be like, oh, there's that guilt again that usually comes up. I'm just going to ignore it. And allow it to, like, it will sit there right next to you. The guilt and the fear will sit there and you just keep on ignoring it and you don't go into it. Emotions are only problematic the second that you step into them and you become the guilt and the fear. So your brain can suggest you should feel guilty. That doesn't mean that you have to decide, I am guilty. Those are two different things. You do have a choice whenever your brain suggests an emotional response. It might not feel like it, but you do have a choice not to agree with it. And that choice is the key to everything. Understanding that you have that choice and working out how to execute that choice is absolutely the key to regulating your own emotional state. Hope that helps, Jazz. Bye.